All right, take me through the week at Winged Foot a little bit. Looking back now, how do you remember the first couple rounds?
I remember hitting it really well. Um, to be honest with you, man, it was a weird week. I pumped the drive on one. I remember that. I was like, okay, I have the horsepower, and the wind was a completely different direction the first day compared to the last 3 days. It was coming from the south, I think. And number one, I hit driver and a little flip wedge into one. And I made a 15-footer, and I was like,
Hmm.
okay, we're off to the races. It's just a great start. Um, I played really well. I finished bad coming in that round, but I still felt confident. And I knew that if I kept playing this way and I kept giving myself chances and bombing it, I'd be okay. The next day came around, wind completely switched. I'm like, crap, this is not going to be easy. First, second, third, fourth holes are not going to be easy, even fifth hole. And then, you got 11, 12, 13, or no, 12, 14, 15 are all going to be into the wind. And those are like, man, those are so hard. But I knew my length would still be an advantage. And I prepped for the wind being coming off the south all week. That's what I thought it was going to be, not knowing that it was going to flip the other way. So I had to completely reevaluate some things in my head and how to play, where to play, from what angles, based on certain pin locations. And you can see, how I missed it in certain areas quite consistently because I knew that's where I could play from. Like 4, I missed it left every single day. I couldn't miss it right. 14, I missed it left every single day because I knew I could run it up from there. If you hit it over the right, there's some trees blocking. It's just a bad angle. And so there's just a lot of places that I knew I could play from, that I tried to make sure I hit it in that area. Number 16, for example, I knew I couldn't miss it left. I had to be right, or if I drew it perfect, it was great. So I always made sure I aimed a little more right and tried to draw it a little bit more. So I played the golf course the way it allowed me to play it per how far I was hitting it.
Yeah.
And going through the week, it was weird. Saturday, I didn't have anything. I was so nervous. 3-putted the first hole, bad bogey in the second hole, made an unbelievable par on 3, unbelievable par on 4, and I'm just holding on for dear life. Well, Patrick Reed is playing really good. And 7, I made this 30-footer. I missed a little 6-footer on 6. I'm like, goodness gracious, I don't know what's going on. I knew the day was going to be tough because I couldn't figure out my golf swing, couldn't figure stuff out. I just lost a little bit. 7 made a 30-footer, something like that for birdie, and momentum started to go my way, even though I wasn't playing great. And as time went on, I just got a little better. I got a little lucky in some instances, and 16, 17 made those birdies, and that just that was kind of like, okay, I can do this. Even though Wolf is 5 under, I know I gave myself a really good chance for tomorrow, and so that's why I was ready to head to the range.
Yeah.
And sorry for cutting you all short a little bit, but I was just ready to go because I knew if I could figure it out tonight, I'd have an amazing chance to win the next day, and that's what I did.
No, it was great. We got a chance to catch up with you just for a couple minutes on your way to the range Saturday, which was cool. I'm wondering, because you mentioned Patrick Reed, you played with him on Saturday. He was in the lead of the golf tournament, and then obviously shot 43 on the back nine Saturday, which we talked about. Once you get a little bit off on that golf course, there's a whole lot of bad stuff that can happen. But how
Especially when
much
you're
are
hitting
you
that short.
affected by the guys that you're playing?
Sorry.
Wait,
As I
say that
said,
again.
especially when you're hitting it that short. No, I'm just kidding. I'm giving him a hard time.
I love it. How much do your playing partners affect you? I mean, you and Patrick you guys are buddies, if I
Yeah.
understand it correctly. I mean, how much does it make a difference if the guy's playing well or not playing well, if you have a good relationship or no relationship? Does it matter?
For me, it doesn't matter. It's about, I'm going to go out there and get a job done. I've always been that way. Even playing with, that's what I learned when I was in junior golf. I mean, we were friends after, um, even before. But once you're on the golf course, we're fighting for our lives. That's the way I viewed it.
Yeah.
And that's the way I played it. No matter what, just grinding on every shot, doing my best to play my best. Obviously being respectful and doing as much as you can to show respect for the other player. But for the most part, it's hey, I'm in it to win it.
Yeah. You're in the arena. And I think, I mean, we can see that from the outside. You're an intense guy inside the ropes. I think we've talked about when you catch grief, that's sometimes why it is, because you are
Much
in the
so.
zone. You say stuff that comes off differently than you probably mean it.
Yep, absolutely.
Um,
And it is what it is. But I'm working on doing better every day. That's all you can do.
Sunday, did it start to feel like match play at a certain point with
After
Matt
9,
Wolf?
after
Yeah.
9. Once we both made those, I felt like, okay, this is it. This is just between us. And lucky enough that I got a couple breaks on the back 9 and he didn't. I hit a drive on 12 that missed a little right, bounced in the rough, came out in the fairway. His bounced in the same area, just didn't get a good bounce and stayed in the rough. Albeit it didn't affect anything. We both made par, but there's just things that happened that went my way, and I felt like on 14 when I got that up and down, when I made that 10-footer up the hill, he missed it. Right when he missed, I knew if I make this, this is game over. I have so much momentum going my way, and I'm not going to let it go. I made the putt, and that's why I gave the fist pump. And I knew at that point it's full go. And I had to calm myself down. There were multiple times where you could see me walking fast, and then I just immediately slow down and change everything and control the situation. Something I learned from Tiger. Just watching him. Never talked about it, but just watching him. He was so good at controlling the situation, and that's what I tried to do, and I think I did it pretty well.
I'd say so. You changed drivers on the range, I noticed, right before your round. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like you hit one ball with one driver, and then that was it. Then you grabbed another one. What happened there?
I was too high a spin rate for some reason. Just the loft was too much, and I knew it was going to spin too much if I hit it in the middle of the face. And when I hit it in the middle of the face with the other driver, with a 5-degree driver, it was coming out with better spin. So when I hit off the toes, perfect. Hit off the heel, too much spin. Middle of the face, it was okay. But yeah, I'm pretty good at knowing, okay, that's just not going to work. I feel it off the face, middle of the face, it's like, that's just not good.
Do you tweak equipment a lot right before rounds, or carry multiple drivers? Obviously, we know you carry multiple drivers because you snapped one
I'm going to have to.
put the replacement into play.
Yeah. I do quite a bit for the most part. Trying to have backup stuff just in case, because you never know what's going to help you win a tournament. I mean, my manager, Tim, Caddy, they work so hard to have things prepared and ready for me because they know how important it is. One little thing could change everything, and they do their best to make my life as easy as possible, and I really appreciate them for doing that. So Connor has multiple things, whether it's wedge backup set, close set hand in the car, or an iron set backup if something's wrong with the grooves or whatever, it's just not going to the turf right, or a 3-wood shaft, a driver shaft, 3-wood head, driver head, just whatever it is, that we do have a backup set just in case, because you just never know when something's going to go awry. Well, we don't have anything, and we got to ship it, and it's just something you don't want to have happen during a major championship.
All right, you're coming down the stretch. You mentioned that moment where you kind of realized that. How do you then get it in the house because it's a somewhat rare thing, right? Having a few holes to play and knowing that, okay, I'm in control of this PGA Tour event. It's different than, you're tied with someone. It's like, it's almost like you just don't want to lose it at that point. So how do you stay focused and stay aggressive? Because it seemed like you were really trying to do that.
Yeah, and Tim was great at keeping me aggressive. We just kept saying, this is where we need to put it. This is the yardage. We double checked our numbers, going, okay, this is the shot. You got to hit it 173. You got to hit 167, whatever it was. We just kept focused on the task at hand. There were moments where I got chills because I knew that it was over. I knew that it was going to happen. And every time I kept telling myself, I suppressed it. I mean, I got it on 14. When I made the putt on 14, I got straight up chills throughout my whole body. And I said to myself, it's not over. It's not over. I could do something dumb. I could do something dumb. You have to focus. You have to focus. And I just kept thinking to myself, it's not over. You got to get it done. And that's all I did. So on 17, when I kind of knew it was already over, Timmy said something to me, and I was like, Tim, it's not over. I looked at him. I'm like, dude, it's not over. We have a job to do. We got to go make another birdie. We got to get in the house. We got to get in the house at 7. I kept telling him, like, we got to get in the house at 7. We got to get, and I tried my absolute hardest to do that, and it didn't happen that way. But I still won the tournament. I just kept me thinking about finishing it off properly rather than going, oh, I'm going to win. I'm not worried about it. You hit a little air shot. It's not a big deal. No. I didn't want to finish off that way. I wanted people to know that no matter what, I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can until it's over, till the 72nd hole is done. And Tim was really good about keeping me in the moment, except for that little moment on 17. But again, we focused right back up, and we executed as good as we possibly could.
Tiger's talked about that. He's like, if I play you in ping pong, I don't just want to beat you. I want to crush you. And obviously he felt that way on the golf course too. Do you feel that way? Like, is there something nice about having a 6-shot win instead of, edging someone out with a bogey on the last hole?
Yeah, I would say I don't want to feel like I'm stepping on their throats or anything like that. It's more of now, as a kid, I like that, but now it's more of I want to let the numbers play out to where the house is just going to win. Like, no matter what, like, we'll just keep playing. I'm eventually going to beat you because it's just the stats and the statistics are just in my favor. That's more of the way I look at it. And so as it was playing itself out, it was just like I was sitting back. I was still focused, still determined to do the job because that's what I had to do. But I was just letting the statistics play out. And it was cool to see it in that manner, play out in that way. It was not about stepping on anybody's neck or pushing pedal to the metal or anything. It was more about it was awesome seeing the numbers play out.
What was that moment like on 18? I mean, there were actually more spectators than I would have expected because it seemed like the volunteers kind of all congregated around the green at that point.
Yeah.
But then obviously you get to go see your team, Brett, your agent, Connor, your manager, Chris, your coach, and then Tim's there. And what was that moment like? What did that mean to you?
Well, it's definitely a moment that I will appreciate and never forget for the rest of my entire life. They have done so much for me. My whole team has done so much for me that I can never repay them for believing in me the way that they have. Connor giving everything he has to make me feel comfortable. Tim working his butt off on the golf course, getting the right numbers and making me feel comfortable on the golf course. Brett for supporting me and believing in me no matter what's happening off the field. And then you got Chris, Chris is the man that just wants to give me an advantage. Just wants to say, look, this is a way to dominate the field. And he was able to help me work through that process and figure it out. And even Greg Roscoff. I mean, I got to give Greg and MET a shout because he was the one that allowed me to believe I could do this safely. I could grow and get bigger safely. And, there's so many people in the background. You got Steve with Sick Golf, the putters that they've done, the whole Cobra Puma team with Showman, his work that he put in to help me perform at my optimal level. You have Bridgestone, their R&D team, their tour development team that, everybody's a huge part of this. It's not just me. I mean, everybody can say, oh, you won the tournament. No. The team won the tournament. And that's why, I'm throwing a party here on Sunday for everybody that's associated with my team, because that's what it's about. It's not about me. It's about everybody that worked their butts off to help me be the best I could possibly be. And, I think that's what's most important through this whole process is to realize that and accept the fact that it's not just me. It's everyone that's helping me do this.
It's a pretty crazy post-round, schedule that the tour puts you through, or in this case, the SGA puts you through right when you win. I mean, and I've gone to a bunch of golf tournaments, but I was really struck by just how many interviews you have to do right after you win, like before you really even get to process things. And is it weird because you have to talk about, how you're feeling about it before you've even had a chance to really feel that?
Yeah, it definitely was. I couldn't conceptualize what I had just done other than the fact I knew I won. Yeah. And, it was a tough moment for me. I mean, especially when my parents were on the screen after I came out of scoring and they were holding, I was like, why are you guys holding me? Like, what's going on? I had no idea that they were going to be there. And that's another big factor for me that and I'll get to the media here in just a minute, but my parents, they gave so much for me to be able to be in this position. And I lost it. I mean, I could have really lost it in that moment. I did my best to hold it in because I didn't want to look like a crying baby out there. But, when I see them, they're coming tomorrow, actually. When I see them tomorrow, it's going to be, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for me because they just have done so much. They've given so much up for me to be in this position. It's all thanks to them. But, from a media perspective, I don't know how many I did, dude. I think it was over 15, somewhere around in the
Yeah.
realm of that. I would say 2.5 hours of talking about what this means, the gaining size, all this, which is great. I'm not complaining one bit. I think it's amazing that winning a U.S. Open, you get to have that ability to talk to everyone and share your opinion with all of them. So, but yes, it is a lot of work. I was very,
Yeah.
very tired. I'm telling you, I went to bed at 12. Normally most people are going to bed at 2, 3 a.m. or whatever, but right after that, I was pretty much toast.
Yeah.
We had a nice party after, as you know, but after I was just, I felt really tired. That's all I can
Yeah.
say.
I mean,
But it
no,
was
it makes
good.
sense. The it's the media, it's the golf channel right afterwards. It's the whole scrum with a bunch of us, and then it's like Today Show, ESPN, Golf Channel, etc. And I was interested to see Connor, who's your manager, kind of at some point was like, all right, hold on, guys, like let's get my man at stake here. Let's take a second,
Yeah.
like let's not let the car overheat here. And I thought that was interesting just to see how the whole process works.
He knows when I'm getting tired, and even Brett does too. They're really good at saying, okay, he is getting very close to being done. Because I feel like I'm pretty generous with my time. Um, you know, and I speak a lot. I talk a lot. I love talking and explaining myself as much as possible. But it gets a little tough sometimes, and they're really good at controlling that. And so that's why I have a team around me to control that. Because if not, I just keep going. I just keep going and going
Yeah.
and saying yes to whatever. I'm terrible at saying no, especially coming out of tour. I was terrible at that. And,
Yeah.
that's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. But um, I got to live a life too eventually. Uh,
Totally.
but at the same point in time, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
We'll let you out of here before too long, but just
No,
a couple
you're good.
more. I'm wondering about the reactions from around the golf world, because I mean, obviously everyone was blown away by the accomplishment, but people were also like, "Wow, this really feels like a moment of change for golf." Rory talked about that a little bit. Brandel Chambly talked about that. Various people were in the news for saying this feels different. This feels like, is this approach going to take over? What do you make of that reaction?
I think it will. I think I've looked at many scenarios. What scenario would this not work in? And I'm finding it very difficult. I'm having a very difficult time finding that scenario. Chris is as well, and I think I could speak on his behalf on that. There's only a few instances that may hinder it a bit, but no matter what, hitting a 7 iron 210 yards is a pretty dang good advantage no matter where you are. And I think that there's only a couple cases that I've thought of that may hinder it, and I will not speak on that because I don't want people to find it out. But
That's a,
as of right now, um, I do believe that I hopefully inspire a generation that will come out here and think differently and bomb it. And you know, there's going to be a guy that's 6'7" that comes out on tour and he's 270 pounds and can swing it and control the whole golf club, and it's a 48 inches, and technology is good enough where the shaft is stable enough, and hitting off the toe and the heel, they're just as accurate as somebody that's hitting a 280. That's going to be a scary day. That's where the golf world changes forever. I don't know if I've done it, but I think I've hit a mark where people are like, okay, it's possible. Let's go.
yeah. I'm not sure you can get to 6'7", but you might be on your road to 7
Yeah,
to 8.
I don't think I can without stretching my whole body out. you know?
Yeah, you can look into that next.
No, 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 no.
What can you design for me a golf course that you would not play well on, or that's what you're keeping a secret?
Trying to keep a secret on, but something like Atlanta Athletic Club, excuse me, East Lake, my bad, East Lake. The Tour Championship was pretty difficult, but again, even in that scenario, I'm still hitting 4 irons off the tee that are going 280. So, that's pretty good. And then hitting a pitching wedge in. So that would be a place where it would hinder it a little bit with Bermuda rough, bunkers in front of the greens and stuff like that where you can't run it up. That's kind of where it hinders it a bit, and you get firm greens. But at the same point in time, still hitting it that far, I mean, you're hitting iron wedge into a green. As long as your iron play is good enough, your putting's good enough, you're still gonna win. So that would be one of the worst case scenarios that I could imagine. And you can still do pretty well on that, I think.
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to imagine, not to get too far down hypotheticals, but if Winged Foot had a pond in front of every single green,
right,
would you have approached the golf course differently and tried to hit more irons and get it in the fairway, or not even still?
At a certain point, that has to be the case. Especially with the greens being so firm and whatnot, there's going to come a point in time. But again, if you do that, the whole field has to deal with it all the way back from where they are. So it also makes it really difficult for them. So it's this balance, right? You see, this is a place where it could hurt them, but then it's like, well, it's going to hurt everybody else too. So it's very difficult to find it. Length is king in the game now. Length is definitely king.
Matty Wolf hit it by you a couple times.
He did. My spin rate was 3,000 though. I'll get it once I get it to 2,000. You'll notice my ball speed was about 8 miles an hour past him every time. So I'm not gonna speak too much of that, but yeah, he did it past me.
I didn't know if you were aware of that and you were taking notice.
Yeah. Trust me, I don't look at that lightly. That did not make me happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those fairways were kind of concrete. So some of those tee shots that came in and started running, like Patrick Reed hit a couple 3-woods that were bullets that ran out
on 16. Yeah, it went forever. And that's also a case where, again, I had 3,000 spin on the driver this past week, and we're working on taking that down right now. But it was also good for me because it kept it in the fairway. They were super tight. It landed in the fairway and it would stop a lot quicker than others. And, maybe they had 2,200 and it ran through the fairway. So it actually was a bit of an asset for me. Even though I was hitting a little shorter, it still allowed me to stay in a lot of the fairways.
What's next for you? You've talked about testing a 48-inch driver. I know sometimes, this R&D stuff you keep under the hood a little bit, but what can you tell us about what you're working on, what you've got in your brain that, you want to try out?
I've got some ideas about a golf ball design thing. And then, what I talked to you guys about last week, I know you know what that is, right?
The 48-inch driver?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I might have already tested it, by the way.
You're going to make us wait and see. I guess we can't go to a golf course and hopefully, find you hitting it out on the golf course because you don't do that. So we're going to have to really wait till you get back into tournament play.
Well, no, yeah, there have been some people that have videoed it, although it's going to be very difficult to find. But I will tell you that it's astounding. It is potentially game breaking if it's done right.
Doesn't the spin just go through the roof though on a super?
Not if you build the shaft right.
Right, because it's
what LADP did.
It's interesting because you mentioned spin 5-6 times, and I can only imagine when you have that much speed, right? Spin becomes the enemy because you're just constantly trying to bring it down. That's why you have more loft on your putter than driver, as they said on the broadcast a million times. But that's just what I'm curious to see, I guess. How do you control the spin when you've got 48 inches?
Well, the friction value of the face is a big deal. Sometimes when you go up in roughness on the face, you can actually lose spin. And it's because of how it's interacting with the face. So you can imagine the ball winds and unwinds on a face. Now, if it's slick enough and it's low enough loft, it can hit and slide up the face, which would create more spin. So the slicker it is, the more spin it would actually get. But sometimes the roughness, when it compresses, it won't allow it to go up, and it's winding and unwinding off of it. And so when you have a certain roughness, you get a certain roughness on the face, it'll actually come off with less spin sometimes. So you work on the face roughness, you work on the compression of the golf ball, a bunch of other things. There's also loft to it that all matters that can help aid in controlling spin. And then you have to build the shaft right so it deflects properly so you get the right dynamic loft at impact.
Do the engineers at Cobra love you or hate you?
Both. Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you, I think with some major champions, the tendency is to win and then have a little bit of a letdown because that's the top to some extent. I don't get the sense that that's how you're feeling at the moment.
I missed that shot on 18 out to the right with the hybrid. I'm not happy about that. So on Monday I was working out for 2 hours with Greg up in Denver, and then Tuesday another 2 hours. So in a span of 16 hours, I worked out with him 4 hours. So I feel super strong, way stronger than when I came into the U.S. Open. And we did some speed training yesterday, and we did some crazy things that just know that there's going to be something fun coming out if Shriners comes about.
Anything else you can tell us about Augusta and your game plan for attacking Augusta? Are there any,
Hitting it past 320 is the goal every time. If I can do that, the golf course is open.
Interesting. That opens up some new windows on the course, I would imagine.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Like Tiger, what Tiger did.
Yeah.
Back in 97, I think it was.
You used the word game breaking a couple answers ago. You ever hear people say, "Oh, Bryson's breaking the game of golf"?
I mean, look, I'm just using the knowledge, the speed, the power to the greatest advantage I possibly can under the rules of the game. That's all I'm doing. And there comes a point in time where you still have to wedge it well. But I'll tell you that I did go out and hit a couple drives on a couple holes, and I drove at least 3 greens, and I played like 5 holes, 6 holes. Yeah. I won't tell you how far anything it was, but yeah, there's some really interesting things going on right now.
All right. Last question for me. What has been your favorite part of all of this? What has made you the most happy of your recent success? And has there been one moment where you've just been able to sit back and say, this is really cool. I'm really having a good time doing this?
I think the most inspiring moment to me personally, and validating and cool moment, is when kids on the driving range come up to me and they're super excited to meet me, and they're like, I want to drive it like you. I want to hit as far as you. I want to do that. I think that's the most rewarding thing that I could possibly feel ever, because my goal is to inspire a new generation, like Tiger did for me. I think that's super cool. That's something that I live my life for sure.
All right. Well, Bryson, we appreciate the time. Definitely a lot of insights there. I'm going to go call Greg Roscoff myself, see if I can get some time on his schedule. But best of luck. Enjoy. Take some time to celebrate, and we'll see you at Augusta.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.